The Milwaukee Brewers have just sent a serious message across the MLB after the sweep of the Pittsburgh Pirates, including multiple quotes from veterans like Christian Yelich, as well as a major update regarding the two top prospects for this Milwaukee Brewers team. We're going to be breaking it all down here in this video, ladies and gentlemen. But before we do jump in all of this, if you haven't already, be sure to hit the sub button if you are looking for every single bit of your Milwaukee Brewers news. We're going to have it all here for you guys as the season goes on, as we continue this 12-game win streak going into a day off. Before we do jump into it, like I said, if you haven't already, we know that 98% of you guys watching right now have not done so. Be sure to hit the sub button. I got you every day going throughout this season with the Milwaukee Brewers news, but we need to jump straight into this video. And I want to first pull up tonight's game, or this evening's game, I should say, going over this and kind of everything that we touched on before we jump into our later updates. First of all, for Brandon Woodruff, why he went 4 innings, as well as the updates regarding the rest of the schedule for this month, and of course the two top prospects. But from Adam McCalvy today, this was the update on Brandon Woodruff. All today, 4 innings didn't seem like that was planned or whatnot, but it was planned. Pat Murphy said, first time on 4 days rest since his return from injury. So to clear up anything that people may have thought was due to injury, due to anything else, we now can confirm that it was just due to rest on a 4-day start time. So this is, of course, pretty good thing. Brandon Woodruff is all in good spirits, nothing injury related after the game. He said he was quite nervous for everybody in Wisconsin because they could not, you couldn't afford to not get free burgers. Who doesn't want that? So if you're in Wisconsin, of course, be sure and go and get yours. But this is just a really good update. Now, jumping into this game and jumping into the rest of what was kind of brought to us, the game today was just another phenomenal game. 12 runs to 5 for the Brewers. And of course, the Pittsburgh Pirates made a little comeback there in the 5th and 6th inning. But with what we had seen from this Brewers team, 12 runs once again, another double-digit run game, and especially going off 12 hits, where you are looking at, 1 hit for each run, that's a very good turnaround for your production. And of course, when you're taking a look at the game, we saw here earlier in that 7th inning, and of course going into the 4th as well, it was run after run after hit after hit. It was just a complete cycle, and it was absolutely fantastic to see. And doing this against 3 phenomenal pitchers, and especially these last 2 in Mitch Keller and Paul Skeens, for the rest of the MLB, that is literally unheard of. We don't see pitchers do that very often against these 2 players. Now, the Pirates may not be the best team in the MLB, but I saw you guys commenting saying that the fact that the Brewers are doing this to even the Pittsburgh Pirates, who, once again, are not the greatest team, but have some very good pitching and some very good players, it's just genuinely insane, especially when you're really putting it into perspective of what they're bringing to the table and what the Brewers are also coming back at them with. And they've been, keeping everybody on board, keeping everybody locked in, and I think that's just such a good thing to kind of witness and see from this team. And of course, we do have a few quotes, as I mentioned here, and this one comes from Christian Yelich. He says, honestly, nobody cares about what we have done in the past month. This is what he had to say on ESPN. It's all great, but we have bigger goals than winning 75 games at this point. This was after last game, or whatever it is. That's great, but that wasn't really our goal going into the season, and we have bigger aspirations than that. And now Christian Yelich also said this with, such a modest tone, not getting excited about a win. It's obviously, he is, of course, but coming out here, not showing the emotion towards the media, not acting like you've already won the World Series because you're first in the MLB. That don't matter, and this team knows that, especially the way that these players have really made this all out to be, and how they've kind of structured their success to be over the past few games. And you guys have kind of emphasize that as well over these past few days in the comments below, and you're loving the atmosphere from this Brewers team. You're loving the way they're playing. You're loving the way they're reacting to their games, and we know, as a fan base, that is exactly what we need to see them do. And as well, kind of going and continuing on with it with this game, you can take a look at it. Everybody in this lineup that we've been able to see day in and day out have all found success wherever they've been put in. And even if you're out a game, coming back in this case, a pinch hit from Andrew Monasterio, even though struck out once at 1 at-bat, he could be in next game and absolutely, have that trust from the entire Brewers fan base as well as the staff. And there is one player once again, and, I feel like I could do this with every player in this lineup, and you see the multiple 2-hit games. But one I want to really give another shout-out to at the bottom is Joey Ortiz. 2 hits and 3 at-bats, and of course 1 walk. 231 average, got that up quite a bit from just hovering around 200. I can't exactly recall when he was at his lowest, and since then, and continuing on with that, and just taking a look at his last 7 and even 15 games, he's batting .385 with even a .429 on base percentage, with his walks have really been contributing to that, and also a .538 slugging. He's been absolutely fantastic, and going on from I would even argue 30 games ago, where you're looking at a near 300 average. He's been absolutely fantastic. And, the more you ask for that, the better it is. And of course, as I mentioned, after the trade deadline is when we really started to see him heat up with all the rumors that were kind of floating around with him being traded or someone to get him a replacement. And going in as well, everything is making perfect sense for this Brewers team in line and what they're going to. And we do have another quote here coming out from this Brewers team, of course, and this one again from Christian Yelich. It's hard to win just one game in the major leagues, Yelich said. We've done it by just being present, focusing on the current day and not thinking about previous days or what we have ahead of us. Staying present in the moment, talking about figuring out what we have to do to win that night. And especially coming into this game and also seeing how this team translates. Their second of 10-plus game win streak throughout this season. And you see a stretch of a few losses there. And, if you look at that at this point right now, you would never say the Brewers were that team a couple games ago or a couple weeks ago. And it just goes to show that they're taking that to heart. They're taking exactly what they need to do to a T. And it's just a phenomenal thing. I feel like a broken record saying this as well, kind of every video, day in and day out. But every day, this team impresses me more and more. Now, before we do jump into our updates regarding Luis Pena, Jesus Mada, and also kind of the rest of the schedule, I have one more quote here from Paul Skeens talking about this Brewers team last night. He says, they're hot right now. Per MLB.com, I got in positions that weren't very advantageous to me and where I had to be perfect, and I didn't have my best stuff. I really couldn't get count on any singular pitch and execute to get these guys out. So even Paul Skeens is having a troubling time pitching against this Brewers team, which I think to me at least says a lot, and it really goes to show that the rest of the MLB is scared of this team and what they're showing to the MLB. Teams are not excited to play this Brewers team, and I think that's going to really come to show down for the remainder of the schedule, which we're going to jump into here in a moment. But first of all, I did want to pull up the update regarding Jesus Mada and Luis Pena. They both have got the call to High A Timber Rattlers, and they made their debut last night, and boy, did they excel in that situation as well. The team, the Brewers, every minor league team in this system has showing their excitement for getting these guys at some point. And right now, their debut was obviously a fantastic one. They're making their way to the MLB, and as young as they are right now, still going to be a little while. But if we continue to see this, and if we continue to see this production in specific throughout the major levels, they are going to be getting they're going to be getting here in the MLB a lot quicker than a lot of people will think. So I want to get your guys' opinion on that as well. Obviously, we're not going to rush them. We have no need to rush them, but it will be a very exciting time when we start to see them kind of closing in on the MLB level. But before we do finish this video off, I want to pull up the remainder of the schedule. And of course, the day off tomorrow, a very big one, getting that extra day of rest ahead of the series against the Reds, then the Cubs, Giants, Diamondbacks, and Blue Jays. This is not going to be an easy remainder of the month, but going off a 12-game win streak and the way that Christian Yelich has really described this team's past experiences here, they're ready to go. And I have no doubt in my mind that this team is going to be super excited to get into these games, get them going. A loss is going to come here and there, and whenever it be, it is what it is. But this team knows that if they have a loss, they only look forward to the next few wins and getting to the postseason. So I cannot wait for this, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned, we're going to have you guys updated with everything Brewers related over the next few days and daily, especially going into tomorrow, where I'm sure we're going to get a few updates regarding Logan Henderson, regarding Jacob Misiorowski, heading into some big series. So I'll keep you guys up to date with that, though. If you haven't already hit the sub button, be sure to do so and hit the bell so you know when I post. But like I said, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.